I wish our police force had mechs designed by Yutaka Izubuchi. So it's a good thing I got my own with the help of my favorite online hobby store, Hobbling Japan. Links to buy your own mechanized police down below. And maybe you'll even want to grab multiples because you can build the Ingram in this box as a bunch of different varieties. The most obvious difference, of course, being between Unit 1 and 2, with their very different heads and shoulders. Or, if you'd like, you can even mix and match the two to make your own custom variant, because Patlabor is freedom. And with the help of the waterslide decals, you can further differentiate your mechs and go for either the manga, TV, or reboot version. The seam lines then are all nicely hidden for the most part, and there's also some molding lines to deal with, and this very annoyingly placed nub on the back that is a real pain to remove properly. As for the painting required then, it's also somewhat of a mixed bag. It's accurate enough to look good straight out of the box, especially if you do the panel lining for the fine details, but for the perfect finish, you're still going to need some paint here and there. Your color of choice for the tips of the two main antennae: gray for the towing cable, black and yellow for the crotch and shoulders, yellow for this thing on the chest, red for these cables, and black for the shotgun and the sides of the shield. What is really cool then is that for all of the clear pieces, the two different visors and the lights on the shoulders, they also included a colorless clear version, so you can paint them in whatever color you want. And talking about the visor, if you have a close look at that one, you can also see the mono eye sensor molded in there. So that is some really cool attention to detail. And yet another give and take situation is how they decided to handle the joints. The Ingram has those covered joints that can be tackled in a number of ways. Do you try to replicate the coverings with rubber, like Bandai did with the old kits? Do you try to replicate them with trash bags, as Bandai infamously did with the Master Grade Thunderbolt kits? Or do you treat them as normal joints and hope that it turns out for the best? Good Smile went with the latter option, and for the most part, the effect is really good. Just don't look at the arms from behind. Moving on to the weapons and accessories then, let's start off with what is already on the machine itself. On the left arm we have a shield that is not supposed to come off, and inside of it we have a collapsed baton. And extending it is really easy, you just grab the extended one. It's very loose in both the left and right hand, but fortunately it's not going anywhere thanks to the design of the thing. Something that fortunately isn't the case with the gun, that is stored in the right leg. But first, we have to get it out of there. And for that, our Ingram comes with an extra extended arm piece so that it can reach down far enough. I also like the idea of using it to give some extra oomph to its punches. And thanks to the included left and right trigger finger hand, the Ingram can dual wield however you see fit. For the heavier cases then, it also comes with a shotgun that has a folding stock. Although, mine doesn't really feel like folding quite as shown in the manual, and there's not a lot I can do wrong. But whatever the case might be, with this shotgun you're of course gonna want to use one of the two open hands. I don't like the fact that there's a giant hole in them, but at least it's hidden when you use the hands with the shotgun. Next up then we have a spare antenna, and the final accessory is probably the most interesting of the bunch. For the back of the legs you have two options: source material accurate long, or articulation enhancing short. And the improvement it gives to the articulation is pretty substantial. And if you're wondering why I'm not moving the top joint, well, there simply isn't one. And talking about the articulation, the head is on a double ball joint, the shoulders are on a hinge and swivel combo for some really surprising mobility that also helps the arms to overcome their limited uppers movement. They'll also rotate around, bent at the elbow on only a single joint, and the hands are on the usual ball joint. They'll wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. On the waist then we have a hinge and ball joint combo that again gives the kit some surprising mobility, But you do have to be careful here. You can easily split the torso apart, and the holder for the ball joint on mine already has multiple stress marks. Thanks to the design of the waist then, the legs can go really far forwards and backwards, but not that much sideways. They'll rotate around, bent at the knee on only a single joint, as mentioned before, the ankle armor goes up and down, and the feet are only on a single ball joint, but it does do an admirable job. And finally, there's also a toe joint. So, as with so many things on this model kit, the articulation does have some really good parts, but they're mixed with some more parts that wouldn't have been that difficult to improve upon. Also, this might be a good smile kit, but the action base hole on his butt can take the standard Bandai action base peg. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, overall, I'm still really happy with this Moderoid Ingram. It's not perfect, but it does do all of the important things well enough, to the point that only a bit of extra effort is required to make this thing shine. It also feels like a huge improvement over the Moderoid Escaflowne that I had a look at a while back, and at a retail price of 3,455 yen, the price is also pretty damn fair for a non-Bandai model kit. Combine that with the fact that you can make multiple variants with this one kit, and maybe the question shouldn't be, should you buy it, but rather, how many should you buy? On to the size comparisons then, and first of all, here it is again next to the Moderoid Escaflowne that it totally eclipses, and another non-Bandai kit, the Dagram. You can definitely see a difference in chonkiness here. Then next up we have some more mechs designed by Yutika Itsubuchi, the Gym Command Space Type and the J-Gun. And finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. Remember, this might be a 1/60th scale kit, but Patlabors are also significantly smaller than mobile suits. And that has been all for this review of this mechanized police model kit. If you want your own, again, links down below. As always, a big thanks to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.